2015 has to be one of the most exciting years for entrepreneurs and small businesses. We now have access to more information, skills, resources, capital, talent than any other time in history. And thanks to the internet, businesses have now become not just small local businesses, but global small businesses that can tap into a global marketplace relatively easily and at a very low cost. You can now sell your product or service to anywhere in the world for a couple of pennies. And I think this is very exciting. It's also very new. I've grown up with technology throughout most of my life, but I can still remember a time whenever these opportunities didn't exist. It was a little over 10 years ago where there was no Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram or any of these incredible tools that businesses have available today. And I think it's great that we're starting to really harness these and leverage their potential. So the UK was named one of the best entrepreneurial countries in Europe last year, with over 580,000 new businesses started. That's almost 1 in every 100 people that decided to pursue the entrepreneurial journey. And it was a little over 2 or 3 years ago that I decided to do this myself and start my own business. And we literally started our business over coffee one afternoon. We seen an opportunity in the event ticketing space where people were generally quite frustrated with the tools that existed because they were very expensive, they offered a very poor user experience and poor customer service. And we thought that we could do something a little better. So we set to work, and Get Invited was born. Now, we didn't have lots of money in the bank, we didn't have a big fancy office, we didn't have a big team whenever we did this. We were still very much students at the time. We were broke and we were struggling to pay our coffee bill every day. But what we did have was an idea and some motivation to actually do something with that. So we started writing some code, and 4 weeks later we had a very crude version of Get Invited. And looking back, it was pretty awful, but we got a customer on board at that time who was going to organise a free event and take this massive risk to put his event on our platform. And it was about 4 months after that where we got our first paying customer on board. We transacted £10,000 worth of tickets in about 2 weeks. And that was kind of a big milestone for us because that was the transitioning point between we're working on a student project to we now have a business. And things started to get quite serious then. As I was leaving university, I'd finished my classes, I was waiting to graduate. We raised £175,000 of venture capital and then another £75,000 of grant support, all here in Northern Ireland. And as a little aside, I think that the resources that we have here in terms of grants and support are absolutely incredible. There's this amazing place called Invest in I that will essentially give you money, free money, to go and build your business, develop your business, and travel and perform business development and marketing activities. And I've never seen anywhere else in the world that has the same system of support. Even across the water in London, they don't have the same government support. So we're incredibly lucky here that Northern Ireland's a great place to start a business. So with the money, we got an office in Belfast. We started to do some business development and export the business outside of Northern Ireland. So I started traveling to Dublin and London and over to the US. So I'm still incredibly fortunate that I get to spend several times a year in some of my favorite places in San Francisco and San Diego and New York. But the things that happen over here, that have happened over there, have been absolutely incredible. Things that just don't happen sitting in an office or a coffee shop in Belfast. So we've got to have lunch at Facebook, Google, Square, some of the biggest technology companies in the world, to sit and show those people what we're working on, what Get Invited is about, and talk about the things that are happening here in Northern Ireland. And one of the most exciting things about this is the feedback that I've always received is that the companies and the things that we're doing here in Belfast are on par with what the big companies and the startups in Silicon Valley are doing. We're just as talented. And we've also got some of our biggest customers on board in the US. So in March we take it for Launch Festival, which was the biggest startup conference in the world. There's 12,000 people at it, and they have speakers like Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, like Tony Hawk, the skateboarder. It was absolutely incredible, and that was a great story to bring back to Northern Ireland. Not to brag about our achievements, but because we're very much a small business. We're a small team sitting in a wee office around the corner in Belfast with a couple of laptops. We're not a big American corporation, but we've still been able to go and do all these things and talk to these big companies. And there's nothing really magical or special about it. I'd love to say that I'm this incredible entrepreneur with years of experience and know what I'm doing, but it's not the reality. I make a lot of it up as I go along. What I do is look for opportunities and go and actively pursue those opportunities. Sometimes that means spending a bit of money, jumping on a plane and flying 12 hours across the world. But if you're prepared to do that, the rewards will be incredible. And typically I find that if you're making that amount of effort, then people in companies like Facebook or Google, or if you're traveling halfway across the world, will be prepared to give you 30, 60 minutes of their time to help you. And I think, just to wrap up, the most exciting thing about all of this is that it's very accessible to anyone now to start an online business with very low cost and low risk, but also that with the power of the internet and technology, we're only really starting to see, or we're probably not even starting to see the scale of the opportunity. So the internet's still relatively young. It's been around from the 80s, but for most of the time it hasn't been accessible. And it's only really been in the last 5 to 10 years where consumers and businesses have really started to adopt it. And if we look at previous technologies, like when the telephone was invented in the late 1800s, it was 30 years before anyone really figured out what it could be used for. The same with TV and radio. And I think that with the internet, it's going to be another 10, 15, 20 years before we really start to see the power and the opportunity that it's going to provide in our daily lives, but also for businesses and entrepreneurs. I think one of the most magical things about it is this idea of the global marketplace. The businesses are no longer localized. You can start a business doing anything that you want. It's something that you're genuinely interested in or passionate about, no matter how bizarre or unique that is. With the internet, there's just this huge potential to really do something that you deeply care about and that you're passionate about. I think that's really exciting. Thank you very much.